Well, I've done a pretty bad job of keeping up with the videos, but we're going to try again now that we've started a new series called Loving Generously. And before I do that, let me remind you this is Time Change Weekend, and this is the good one, so you know what that means. Extra hour of sleep, Roanoke, so enjoy that. Get your little snoozing in. As for me, that'll help make up for watching that World Series game that lasted until 1 in the morning this week. Catch up on sleep and see you bright and early on a beautiful weekend. What a beautiful day this is, and a great weekend we have coming up. So about 1.5 years ago, we did a series called Living Generously, and we followed the adventures of a couple named Frank and Cassie as they learned what it meant to really show generosity and in their life and not to be so self-centered. One of the things we learned was the difference between a spoon and a ladle. The spoon is a symbol of taking care of yourself. You use it to feed yourself, while the ladle was the symbol of serving because it was used to serve others. And Frank became a volunteer at the soup kitchen, and he reoriented his life to make room for generosity toward people in need. He was taught those lessons by Ray the gardener. He also learned the lesson of the stinky sheep, the passage in the Bible where you're to give God not the worst of your flock, but the best of your flock. And so often, even when we are generous in this life, we sometimes do it with our leftovers. Now, this series, Loving Generously, is taking that a little bit further and thinking about our relationships, the kind of relationships we have with other people. And the lesson for this week had to do with banquets. We looked at the story in the Bible where Jesus talks about giving a banquet. In fact, he happened to be at a dinner party when he told this story, and it was a time as everybody scrambled to get up near the front. They all wanted to be in the place of honor. And Jesus said, take the place of dishonor, take the place of least importance. Perhaps you'll be invited up to a place of greater importance, but that's a lot better than being at the head table and getting bumped down. And then he said, when you give a banquet, don't invite the people that you're inviting in order to make an impression, people who can pay you back in some way. Invite the poor and the least and the hurting, the crippled, the lame, the blind, people who can't possibly pay you back. You're going to get a much better reward in heaven than the reward you would get from including them in on your banquet. We concluded our service on Sunday by tearing up a place card, a place of honor, and reminding ourselves that just as Frank did in the video, we are called to look at things a little bit different and not to scramble for prestige, but instead to take the place of service. Again, that ladle is the symbol of servanthood. As we prepare for this coming Sunday, we're going to continue the Loving Generously series and continue to look together as we think about our possessions. Frank and Cassie are going to look at their possessions in a new light as they encounter some people who don't have nearly the things that they have. And we'll look at some of the amazing teachings of Jesus about our possessions. Here's a way to think about it. We often think about the things that we own. Have you ever thought about what owns you? What is it that owns you? If you're not careful, possessions can actually have a control over you that's not very pleasant. So we're going to be looking at Jesus' challenging teachings about how to put our possessions in a proper light. Hope to see you Sunday.